Hello everyone, welcome back to another session by K21Academy. Today our expert trainer will be discussing about Amazon RedShift. So let's get into the video.
We have got this another service called Amazon's RedShift, which is actually a data warehouse service. Now, what do you mean by data warehouse? In the warehouse, in general terms, if we say this is the warehouse of a company, that means the different products of the company belonging to different verticals will be stored in your warehouse. It's a huge space where the products are stored for the purpose of either distribution or maybe for the purpose of centralized inventory management. How much X kind of product is there? How much Y kind of product is there? If X is going out of the warehouse, then you know where it has been delivered. So for centralized inventory management, this traditional warehouses were being used. Amazon's RedShift is also a data warehouse solution. And over here also, it is a central repository only, where the data generated from the different sources, like the CRM of a company, ERP of a company, SCM of a company, maybe there is an HR database, human resource database of a company. There is a database for that. From there, the information, all this data generated from all the various sources can be extracted, transformed, and loaded to the warehouse solution so that later it can be used for the purpose of reporting. It can be used for the purpose of analytical operations. Like suppose if I give you an example, your company is a system integrator company, or if you are not able to relate with this example, you are a retail, you are a store, retail, you are a store where groceries for household are available, and you have got multiple branches across the city. Like let's talk about a city. Here in Indore, we were having a business, like I hope you all are aware about Big Basket. So suppose you are a retail store from where you have got multiple outlets of your retail stores, where the household items required can be purchased. Now, these retail stores are selling products. Okay. Your company has got a vendor management team, or you can say a procurement team, better. Procurement team, which procure the items that you will be selling via the retail stores. Now, this procurement team needs an input when which kind of product sale is increasing. So what this procurement team can do is they can run a report on the sales register. They can run a report on the sales register to fetch the information, what is the sale, or you can say top 50 selling products in January, in February, in March, and so on. So you will be able to know what are your top selling products month-wise, okay, or season-wise. You can get to know that information. So you can read it from the sales register. Apart from that, because accordingly the procurement team will procure the products and keep the stock available. Based on this historical data, they can take a decision. Okay, this is the product which is required by me at the higher stock during the month of January. Like in the month of December, during Christmas, everyone makes a cake at their home. And too much consumption of cakes are there. So obviously all-purpose flour sale will increase during the month of December. Right? So the retail stores are required to keep the enough stock of baking powder, baking soda, and all-purpose flour, so that yeast, so that the selling should not get hampered. And also they have to take a decision that these raw products which you are selling to your customers are available at the cheaper rate during which month, because the goods cost differ according to the production cycles. So the vendor team can perform another reporting on the purchase table, where they will see for X product what was the rate pattern, what was the rate received during which month. That pattern can be observed by them, and accordingly the procurement team can take a call. Okay, the product X demand will increase in December, and the cost of the product when I can best procure it is in the month of September. So accordingly they can purchase more stock in the September itself, so that they can buy it at a lesser price and can make it available in the market at cheaper rates as compared to the competitors. Now there is a marketing team who knows this, who will be requiring the same information. What the sale of which product is increased at what time. Accordingly, they can make their marketing plan, discounting plan, new product introduction. All these things can be, the decision can be taken by the marketing and the strategy planning team. So all these require each other's data. But you cannot give access of all the data to everyone. So rather what you do, you will consolidate the data from various data sources from a company. So in this way, you are not even required to give the access of the database to different departments. So the data will be extracted, transformed, and loaded into the data warehouse solution, wherein it will be loaded in a single format. Because when you are performing the analytical operations, maybe the CRM is built on a different type of database, ERP is built on a different type of database, and SCM server is built on a different type of database. So the user cannot perform different kinds of searches on different data sources. So rather, with the help of ETL tool, extract, transform, and load tool, we will extract the database from the various data sources. We will extract the data from the various data sources. We will transform it to the mentioned type, and we will load it into the data warehouse solutions, so that all the analytical operations, data mining activities, or reporting tools can access the data from a central store in a single way. So this is your data warehouse solution and its requirement. Because there is huge amount of historical data which is required to be stored so as to enable these analytical users to perform the queries and retrieve the information. The traditional databases or the production databases cannot handle that much amount of load where such complex queries can be performed by them so as to get the information out. So you do not want to put the load on the data sources. So there could be multiple reasons basically why do you need a data warehousing solution. So there is huge amount of historical data on which the analyzing operations are required to be performed. You do not want to put the pressure on the primary databases. That is the one reason. Second reason, the company could be using a different type of database for different applications. Now, the analytical tools cannot query differently for the different databases. So it is good that if you can transform, extract and load it into a central repository so that the data can be analyzed and reports can be generated in a standard manner. So such data warehousing solutions, example is your RedShift. Amazon's RedShift is a data warehouse solution where the size of the database on which you will be performing the actions could be into petabytes. The traditional databases were like 64 GB, TB, 128 TB. These were the sizes of my databases. They were not architecturally built in a way so as to support the data warehousing solution. Because over here, my data may scale up to petabytes. And then the analytical operations will be required to be performed on that much huge amount of data. Thus, there was a requirement of data warehouse solution and Amazon has built RedShift over here. RedShift is a combination of nodes and clusters. The total storage capacity of the cluster is determined via the node size and the node numbers. Because if you have got 10 machines with 64 terabytes, the storage capacity of your cluster will be 640 TB. So this is how you calculate the total capacity of the cluster. All the nodes of the cluster are required to be created in the same availability zone of the region because these nodes are required to communicate with each other at a very fast rate. That is the reason they are required to be there in the same availability zone. Because the architecture of RedShift is made in such a way that it can perform massively parallel processing for executing the queries at the faster rate. It can make use of parallel processing, columnar approach, data compression, zone mapping. These are the various methodologies which can be used by RedShift so as to perform and execute the queries at the faster rate. And all this is possible only if your nodes of the cluster are there available in the same availability zone. So your RedShift is faster and scalable because in the background, the storage which will be associated with your RedShift cluster will be the storage of AWS. And you know that the storage of AWS, if we talk about if we talk about EFS, you know that the EFSs are highly scalable storages. So you can keeping the data into the storage, and the size of the storage will keep on growing. So you can make use of scalable storage of Amazon with your RedShift so as to make an ideal solution for a data warehousing solution. Now, if you try to set up the similar environment in your office, it will be a way too expensive affair, because the compute which is required for creating a data warehouse solution, the requirement over there is really high, because the servers are required to perform the queries on a petabyte scaled data. And over here also the queries are required to be faster. So obviously the compute should be very strong. And when I talk about information, the size of the information in Amazon or in your company's data warehouse is increasing at a very high rate. So planning for capacity becomes a real difficult task for an on-prem person. So if you try to execute a data warehouse solution in your own organization, then it is a really expensive affair. So as compared, when you get this thing in Amazon, the cost is really low, because first of all, you are not required to pay anything upfront. It will be monthly charges, and that too in a pay as you go model. So you do not have to over provision the compute. You do not have to over provision the storage for your data warehouse solution. So thus it is low cost as compared to the traditional environment. And you can deploy the security at every level for your data warehouse solution, because it will also sit inside your VPC. So all the securities that you can deploy for your VPC can be deployed for this. So thus it is very secure solution also. So now if I summarize the abilities of a data warehouse solution, that is the RedShift. No upfront cost is required. Fully managed service. Fault tolerant, because it will be made up of multiple nodes inside a cluster. So it is fault tolerant in that sense. On top of it, the automated backups which are enabled for the RedShift storage will preserve the data which is available in the nodes of the RedShift. Supported and faster restores on the encryption and decryption is there. As it is launched inside the VPC, thus network isolation is there, and it is optimized and is specially created in such a way that it supports the data warehousing solution. Nowadays, all the people look for application ASIC solution, application specific integrated circuits. These are specially designed motherboards for special activity. So the data warehouse solution that we are talking about will be made up on the ASICs which are optimized to perform the warehousing solution in a right way. That is what the RedShift is. Okay. Now RedShift, if you understand the architecture of the the Redshift will have a leader node. It's not serverless. It will have a leader node, which is nothing but a compute. And this leader node will communicate with your client application over JDBC or ODBC, depending upon the database connectivity that you are planning to use. You can use JDBC or ODBC so that your client application can communicate with your RedShift cluster. The cluster, as I have told you, is made up of nodes, the multiple compute nodes. And these compute nodes are basically working for the leader node. So the leader node is a kind of manager who will receive the request from the client application. It will split the task and will distribute it to various compute nodes. All these compute nodes have their local storage, and the backup of this local storage is maintained in S3. These compute nodes will have further node slices inside them. That is why we call massive parallel processing, because the leader node will give it to the compute node. Inside the compute node also, there are node slices which will perform the operations in parallel. The slices will work in parallel to complete the operation in a faster way. So thus, massive parallel processing is there. Okay. Each compute node in the cluster will have its own CPU, own memory, and attached storage. And you have got two types of compute nodes which can be created. One is dense compute and other is dense storage. The dense compute node has got SSD based storage, and the dense storage node has got HDD based storage. Now, when to use SSD and when to use HDD, we have understood about that in detail in our EBS chapter. So you can choose whether you want to have a dense compute or a dense storage type of. All the user data gets stored in the compute node and is backed up in the S3. Okay. The node slice which works within the node has also a allocated piece of memory and disk space by the node itself, so that, as I have told you, parallel processing can be performed. So this is the architecture. The client application communicates with the leader node. The leader node communicates with the compute node, which are the worker nodes basically. And inside the compute node, there are node slices which will distribute the task inside the node, so that with parallel processing, you can get the task done in a lesser amount of time. The RedShift snapshot and disaster recovery concepts. Now, this RedShift that you are able to see, you can take a manual snapshot of this RedShift. That will be a cluster snapshot. You can copy this snapshot manually or in an automatic manner to another region, and out of that snapshot, you can restore and can recreate a RedShift cluster. So if there is an DR activity or a DR situation, this is the way you can get your data or the RedShift cluster up and running again. Because now you know that the snapshots are point-in-time backup and everything is stored in an incremental fashion. We know the meaning of all these words. What is incremental? What is point-in-time? We have discussed about them. You can automate the creation of the snapshot, wherein you can say that every 8 hours or every 12 hours, the backup will be created, and you can even retain the backup for some X number of days, ranging from 1 to 35. The manual snapshots can be created manually and will be retained until you delete. The automated snapshots will be created automatically, and based on the schedule, they will even get deleted. Okay. So this is your data warehouse solution in Amazon. Over here, you have got servers to manage for a data warehousing solution. You have got a service called EMR, Elastic Map Reduce, which is nothing but managed Hadoop in Amazon. Big data Hadoop, if you have heard about. And that is also for the similar purpose. In Hadoop also, you have got huge amount of data which is required to be used for analytical purposes. Over there, you can go serverless, not in RedShift. Okay.
So guys, this was our expert from Team K21 Academy, and if in case you missed upon any concept or if you want to dive deeper into the concepts, then we have something really special for you. We have our free class on Amazon AWS Solution Architect certification for beginners. Under this free class, you'll be learning about why and who should learn AWS, cloud services, deployment models, and AWS services as well. And the most important part is you'll be getting hands-on labs, job opportunities, along with Docker and Kubernetes in AWS, and amazing stuff. So if you want to register for this free class, all you have to do is just log on to your browser and type k21academy.com/AWS SA02. And after that, you'll be seeing this kind of interface. You just have to click on book your free seat now, select your event date, add your name, your email address, your phone number, and click on yes, save my seat. And after that, you'll be seeing this kind of page. You just have to save this link on the extreme right, add it to your calendars, and I'll see you in the free class. Till then, keep learning.